G'day guys, QuietPenguin here. Sorry I haven't made any videos in like about a month, I think it is now. I decided to spend the month of January just trying to grind and get legends, so I've been focusing on that. So let me tell you a little bit about my journey and then I'll get to the deck. So I got to rank 5 fairly quickly. I was playing mainly Paladin, trying out the new Quartermaster stuff with Muster. It's pretty sick. Yeah, so I got to rank 5 fairly quickly, but then I sort of hit a bit of a brick wall and tried a bunch of different decks. I was playing, Hunters, Druids, Control Warrior, Handlock, Zoo, you name it, I tried it. I just did not get anywhere. I'd get to rank 3 and then drop all the way back to like rank 6, or I'd get to rank 4 and then fall back, or I'd just go 50-50 and I'd spend the whole day playing and I'd get nowhere. So it was super, super frustrating. So anyway, today is the first day of the Nerf of Undertaker. Hooray! By the way, that's fantastic. I'm so sick of that guy. He was just so OP. And I had like rank 5 and 4 stars, and I've got like 1 day left to play. And so I had a really good look at the meta right now that Undertaker's been nerfed, and I decided to play Mech Mage. And here's the thing, I am now 1 game away from Legend. I played Mech Mage today. I played 43 games, and I won 32 of them. So it equals a 74 win percentage, 74%, a win percentage of 74%, which is by far the best win percentage I've had out of any deck I've tried, guys. So this deck is the nuts right now. I can't recommend it highly enough. And like I said, I'm 1 game away from getting Legend, 1 win away. So if you watch the videos after this one, you'll get to see me play until I get Legend. Hopefully it'll only take 1 game, but could take 100, who knows. But anyway, I'm going to play until we get Legend with this deck. So let me talk a little bit about it. It's a pretty standard Mech Mage. So let's start at the top. We've got 2 Clockwork Gnome. He's a pretty decent turn 1 play for this deck, although against some classes he's not really good turn 1 against classes that can kill him off really easily, like Rogue, Mage, or Druid. So in those matchups you generally use it as a 1-mana mech. So you've got some mech synergies in here that require you to have a mech on the field, and this is basically the cheapest mech that you can actually play. So he's got some dual purpose there. It's also worth noting that if you have a Mech Warrior in play, costs 0, which is pretty sick. It allows you to swarm the board really quickly. Cogmaster is just one of the best 1-drops right now. Arguably the best 1-drop now that Undertaker has been nerfed, in my opinion. If you ever get to go second and coin out 2 of these guys and then go into like a Neotron or Mech Warrior or Snow Chugger, that's basically game over right there. You're swinging for 6 on turn 2. This guy's insane. We've got 2 Frostbolts. Frostbolt's really key in the meta right now to handle the turn 2 Mech Warpers. Things like Iron Sensei if you're playing against Rogue. Still Undertaker if you come up against a Hunter. And it also goes Face for 3 damage, which is important, gives us some late game reach. And the freezing part can be important against weapon classes like Warrior. We're playing 2 Unstable Portal, and I happen to have, so in the 43 games that I played with this deck, I cast Unstable Portal 19 times, and most of the time it got me a pretty average minion. But when I say average, it was pretty good. Like I got a Spider Tank off this, stuff like Mech Yeti, even something like War Golem, which is, a pretty average minion overall. Becomes a 4-mana 7/7, which is sick. So I really love Unstable Portal, and of course then there's the games where it gets stuff like, got me Lore Walker Cho against Rogue. So normally Cho's not that good, but against Rogue, absolutely insane. It got me an Antique Healbot when I'd otherwise die. It got me a Senjin Shieldmaster when I was otherwise going to die. It got me a King Crush to just destroy him that game against the Druid. It got me stuff like Frost Elemental. Even a Patient Assassin was one of the things I got. I got a Bolvar. It's a really great card, guys. It's not something you generally want to keep in your opening hand, just because you want to be spending your first couple of turns to impact the board. But like ripping this off the top's generally pretty sick, and it just sometimes just gives you free wins. So I really, really like Unstable Portal. We've got 2 copies of a Neotron, and this card is sick. Another great play that you can do if you've got the coin is turn to Mech Warrior, coin a Neotron to protect your Mech Warrior, so that next turn you can start playing our bigger mechs like Mechanical Yeti or Piloted Shredder. And he just protects your board. He makes attacking and efficient trading really, really difficult for our opponent, and that generally lets us go face more. And the more we go face, the more we win. And so we've got 2 copies of Mech Warrior. This card is disgusting. I think it almost needs to be nerfed. Getting to play all you guys one mana cheaper is disgusting. It can lead to some of the most broken starts in the game now that Undertaker's nerfed. Yeah, this card's just OP as OP can get. 2 copies of Snow Chugger. This guy's just a really solid 2-cost minion, and he has great applications against weapon classes. So against Paladin, he makes cards like True Silver, even the Light's Justice from Muster for Battle really difficult. If they get the weapon off Tyrion, can be really good. Messes up Control Warrior heaps, because a lot of their early game revolves around the Fiery War Axe or the Death Spite. Snow Chugger screws all that up. So he's got a lot of value against stuff like that. Even against Rogue, like hitting them on a key turn with freeze, so they can't do any like Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil or just like deadly weapon stuff. Is really good. So he's like a 2-drop, but he has a ton of like interesting applications. So he's just a solid all-round card. I've got two copies of Spider Tank. This guy is just beef, and I want the beef straight up. So you can either play Spider Tank or Harvest Golem. Harvest Golem's probably going to be better if you're facing all control. But in general, Spider Tank's better. He's just a beefier guy. You get all the stats right now. Whereas Harvest Golem, you get like a 2-3, and then when it dies, you get a 2-1. But they're much of muchness. I mean, if you prefer Harvest Golem, definitely take out the Spider Tanks for them. I've got 1 Tinkertown Technician. So we're only playing 1 of this because it's kind of situational. Okay, so like early game, both players are generally kind of jockeying for board control. And if your opponent has board control, then we can't really get value from the Technician. So that's why I only play 1. And that's where having these Clockwork Gnomes later on in the game come into play. Because on turn 4 you can go like Clockwork Gnome into Tinkertown Technician if you've got an empty board, and you're still going to be able to proc the Technician. Then we've got 2 copies of Fireball. This just deals with any of the taunts that get in your way, something like a Sludge Belcher or Druid of the Claw. And then later in the game, this is like the best reach you can possibly have, just being able to attack face, knowing that you've got Fireball either in your deck or already in your hand. And you can just kill them from like, sometimes you can kill them from 12 if you've got 2 of them. This card's sick. Definitely don't have less than 2. And play the golden ones if you can. Because the golden cards always come up at the right time. So yeah, and same with the Frostbolts. I haven't unlocked the Fireballs yet, but I'm working on it. 2 copies of Goblin Blast Mage. Now, Blast Mage is insane in any creature matchups, like Hunter, the Mirror. It's really, really good. And it's also really, really good against Paladin, because one of the ways that Paladin beats you is they get an early muster for battle, and then their guys sort of stick around till turn 5, and they play a Quartermaster. That's generally how I've lost to Paladin with this deck, and having Blast Mage just stops that. The damage can also be used to like get through taunts, make favourable trades. It can even just like deal 4 damage to your opponent if you need to, just like if you're in a racing situation, or you know, something like that. This card's super, super solid. And then we've got 2 copies of Mechanical Yeti. Mechanical Yeti gives us some spare parts, which we can use to sort of get favourable trades or for Archmage Antonitis. But it also has 5 health, and that's really important. 1, because it doesn't trade with other Yetis or Piloted Shredder. Piloted Shredder's seen play in like nearly every deck right now. It's crazy. And also 5 health means it doesn't die to swipe in the Druid matchup, and that's super, super key. It also doesn't die to True Silver Champion in the Paladin matchup. So really solid having that 5 health, and it makes it better than Shredder in those matchups. Also doesn't die to a Death Spite in a Control Warrior matchup. So yeah, having the 5 health, guys, super relevant. Then we've got 2 copies of Piloted Shredder. And Shredder's really good in our most broken starts. So the turns where we go like Mech Warrior into like a Neotron, Snow Chugger, and then like we don't really want to overextend at that point because like an AoE effect is just going to wreck our whole board. So generally playing something like Yeti there can be kind of bad depending on what you're up against. But playing Shredder is generally fine because even if they AoE, you're going to get a random 2-cost minion. And hopefully you get something at least like a 2-2 on average. But you can get the 4/4s and you know, the crazy stuff, of course, or that stupid 3/2 Wind Fury, the Shaman guy. He just keeps wrecking me. My opponent always gets it. So yeah, sorry. So the Death Rattle, the stickiness of the minion lets you survive the AoE effects. So you can overextend a little bit more. And overextending in general is really good because if they don't punish you for it, you win the game. And if they have the AoE and you've got Shredder, you don't really care. So that just turns it into a really, really good situation for you. We're playing 1 copy of Leroy Jenkins. This was a later addition to the deck. I added him in at the start of rank 2. And guess what, guys? I went 10-0. I went straight from rank 2 to where I am now. 1 game away from Legend. And I won like 4 of those games because I had Leroy Jenkins, okay? Now I know, like, since the nerf, he hasn't seen much play, and like, oh man, do you really want to spend the 1600 dust? 1600 dust on this guy is just like a strictly worse fireball. Yes, you do. You need Leroy Jenkins in this deck. He is insane. So many of your games, you get your opponent down to like 5, 6, 7 health, and you go, come on man, I need to draw Fireball to win this game. I need Fireball. Guess what? You're now playing an extra copy of Fireball in your deck. Play it, guys. It's worth every dust you put into it. 1 copy of Lotheb. Lotheb's a really solid minion. He's a 5/5 for 5, so just on stats alone, he's really, really good. He survives the same kind of stuff that Mechanical Yeti does because he has the 5 health. And then he has a really good battle cry effect that just disrupts your opponent. So in this deck, we're generally trying to be pretty aggressive, so just play it out when you can. Of course, you'll have times where you get to play it on a key turn and stop your opponent from like going kill command, or fireball to kill you, stuff like that. But in general, he just really stuffs up your opponent's plays. So he's been really solid. But yeah, don't be afraid to just play him on turn 5 if that's what you've got. We've got 1 copy of Piloted Sky Golem. And we're up to the sort of the fat of the deck, guys. These are some of the cards that you sort of rely on to win the game. And do that last bit of damage and get them into the Fireball, sort of Frostbolt, Burnie range. So Sky Golem's really good. It's better than Khan Bloodhoof because it has 6 attack. Meaning it can attack through things like Druid of the Claw and Sludge Belcher. Sludge Belcher's seeing a ton of play right now, and it's got the same stickiness that the Piloted Shredder does. So it lets you extend into the AoE, and even if they actually have the AoE, you're not too bad off because you're just going to get another random 4-cost minion and keep swinging. So yeah, he's been really, really good. He's also a mech, which means occasionally you get to play him on turn 5 or even like turn 4 if you have 2 Mech Warpers out. So he's been sick. Then we've got the copy of Archmage Antonidas. Awesome card because we've got all these spare parts. So we get the spare parts from the Clockwork Gnome, which is another reason this card's in the deck. Even though it's probably not worth a card on its own, it has so much synergy, so Clockwork Gnome is really, really pulling his weight here. So we can get spare parts from that. We can get spare parts from Technician and from the Mechanical Yeti. So with this deck, I haven't generally been saving my spare parts. I've just been playing them whenever it's favourable for me, whenever I can use them to sort of get a more efficient trade or something like that. With the exception of if I already have Archmage in my hand. If I've already got him in my hand, I'll save basically all my spare parts For Archmage, like a big turn on, say, turn 8, 9, or 10, depending on how many spare parts I have and how badly I need fireballs to win the game. But he gives you a ton of reach and you control matchups like Control Warrior as well. So he's another must play, guys. You need him in the deck. And then the last card is Dr. Boom. So I was pretty iffy on having Dr. Boom in the deck at the start, but he really pulled his weight in these 43 games. My win percentage of 74% is like Dr. Boom won some of those games. If they have the big game hunter, that's fine. Congratulations, you had it. They had it. Woohoo! You've still got the boom bots. Often this deck can force them to actually play the BGH earlier on in the game just to like keep up on the board. And you know what? The games where they don't have BGH, Dr. Boom kills them. Card's super, super good, guys. You need to play that as well. Okay, guys, that's the deck. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And join me in the next video, guys, where we play to get Legend. 1 game away. Alright, let's do it.